20 Reasons Hertz plus Tesla is the partnership of the century. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Welcome to my newest $25 patron, Anthony Lasago, at the $25 level. That is cool and the gang. And also to upgrading $25 Patreons, Andy D and Jason Rogers. More about that at the end. So if you're watching this, you already know that Tesla had a fairly big day on Monday. Fairly big. It may pull back, I expect it to, but still. And that's all on the strength, in my opinion, almost entirely on the strength of the 100,000 car order placed by the Hertz rental car company. So, why is that good? By the way, I'm going to go ahead and put timestamps down below. It's not clickbait. I really want you to get the information you want, but all 20 are listed. 10 benefits for Hertz, 10 benefits for Tesla, and they're all pretty amazing. So let's just jump in. Why is it good for Hertz? Well, first reason, pretty obvious, lower maintenance costs. Electric cars don't require constant oil changes. They're very low maintenance. So think about that, the money it costs to have your car oil changed every 5,000 miles. The car probably going to get 40, 50,000 miles. You need 10 oil changes. That's a bit of money. And it may not seem like much, 40 bucks a shot. Maybe you get a deal and it's 30. That's still 300 bucks a car, 100,000 cars. It adds up in a hurry. The next reason is kind of tied to that. It's the actual time it takes to do the maintenance. So not only do you have to have someone drive the car there, leave the car there, come back and get the car. Maybe it takes two people because you got to go and get it and drive back. But it also takes the car out of the fleet for half a day. Can you really handle the downtime? I mean, you can, but do you want to? Wouldn't you rather avoid that entirely? So the maintenance costs are lower and the time for maintenance is much lower. Best resale value. This is the big one. Well, Teslas cost more than a regular fleet car. Yeah, they do. But they also hold their resale value like absolutely crazy. So if you look at a traditional car, I went ahead and whipped up the numbers. A traditional car, a four-door sedan, basic, Camry, Corolla, maybe not a Corolla, but any four-door sedan, $30,000. Now, maybe the base model is $25,000, but they don't always have the base model. Rental fleets typically get whatever is available. So they pay the price, but they get a discount, they get a decent car. Let's say that $30,000 car, they get it for $25,000. They drive the heck out of it for 2 years, sell it for $15 grand, total cost of ownership, $10,000. Not bad, not bad. Whereas with a Hertz Model 3, it looks like they're paying $42,000 for a car that's $44,000. Now mind you, they are paying full price, but they locked in the price before the price went up. Today's price is what the future resale is kind of going to be based on. So let's say they drive it for 2 years, send it out to the fleet. That's still a $35,000 car. And if you think, no, there's no way it's that high. Oh, it is. Go look up prices for 2-year-old Tesla Model 3s. They hold their value really well. So if it is 35 grand, and I assure you it is, because I would buy one, that's a $9,000 cost of ownership. They're saving $1,000. Yeah, that's only like $1 something a day, but still, $1,000 times 100,000 cars is $100 million. I mean, $100 million is nothing to scoff at. But let's look at a more, what I consider realistic case. That $30,000 car right now is not $25,000. It's $28,000 at absolute least, because the legacy guys simply can't build the cars. They're blaming the chip shortage, the supply shortage, and I believe them. So they're not getting $5 grand off. They're maybe getting $2 grand off. And they're still going to be selling it at more like $12,000. Now, when I said you'd sell that $30,000 car for $15,000, that's based on experience. I own a 2-year-old rental car that had 46,000 miles on it that I paid $15,000 for, half price. Now, that $30,000 car, they didn't get 15 for it. They got more like 12 because the dealership still had to get their beak wet. And even if they sell it themselves, then they've got a lot to deal with, staff to deal with. It's more like 12,000. So their actual cost is more like 16,000. Let's use the same numbers for the Tesla. 42,000 to buy it, it's worth 44. They're going to sell it for 35. It's a $7,000 price difference. That's like 10 bucks a day. Or over the life, a 2-year life for these cars, we're talking about a savings of $700 million. That's an advantage. But the bigger one there is maybe you don't get rid of it after 2 years. There's less parts to go wrong. The car can last longer. The resale's going to hold up into its 3rd and 4th years, so maybe you hold it 3, 4 years. Maybe you don't get rid of it right away. Maybe as your new fleet starts to retire, you just replace them all with Teslas and hold them longer. So let's go into some lesser benefits real quick before we get to the biggest one of all. One is the SuperCharger network. You need it. You must have it. If you buy a different EV, your customers are going to have to deal with the horrible experience of charging a car on third-party chargers. Go ahead and watch Out of Spec Motoring. Go watch any of the guys who do EVs, who do road trips, and they will tell you, without a doubt, Tesla superchargers are the way to go. They're the only way to go. Now, if you're buying a Mach-E, an I-Pace, an e-tron, you're going to charge at home every night. You probably won't even notice how bad the charger network is. But if you're out of town and renting a car and reliant entirely on public chargers, it makes a very big difference. Now, another thing is the Sentry cam. Wouldn't it be nice, as the owner of the vehicle, to have a dash cam all the way around, all the time? Wouldn't it be nice to know who's at fault in accidents, where that ding came from, exactly what happened with your car? That's a big advantage, and nobody else is offering that. With that comes infinite fleet data. I mean, wouldn't you like to know where your car is? If you say you can't drive it out of the tri-state area, wouldn't you like to know that it hasn't left the tri-state area? If it isn't returned on time, wouldn't you like to be able to look and just see where it is? There's a value to that, and other companies often charge if you can get those features at all, and that's kind of a big deal. Another one, best available accident avoidance systems. Yeah, you can make money by charging people for nicks and scratches and dings, but for a serious accident, you might lose the car entirely, and you might spend 6 months trying to get some percentage of the money back from the renter. Wouldn't it be nice to just not have the accident in the first place? In terms of actual business, Hertz stands to gain the entire luxury rental segment. If people consider this an actual luxury car, which I certainly would, I would rather have this than most of the things that they consider luxury at a rental place, they're going to capture all of that business. If you travel for business regularly and your company uses Enterprise, you're probably going to ask, can we switch to Hertz? I certainly would, and I know a lot of people are in that boat as well. But here is the biggest one for Hertz. These cars are full self-driving ready. And if full self-driving becomes available while they still have them, you got some advantages there. You can now offer valet service to every customer. They need to go to the airport, drive to the airport, hop out, car goes back to Hertz. Need to pick them up at a conference, pick them up at a conference, no staff involved. You need to balance your fleet. Oh, we've got too many cars in Long Beach and not enough in Los Angeles? Send them. Just send them, it'll take care of itself. What if you want a smaller lot? Have an off-site lot, jam all the cars somewhere 3 miles away hidden, and when you need them, they just show up. But that's only part of that last one, because what it really is a robo-taxi fleet. And Lyft and Uber would love to have something like this, but they've largely given up on their full self-driving ambitions because it's really, really hard. And if, before the end of 2024, full self-driving is cracked, Hertz is going to own 100,000 robo-taxis that can be dispatched all day, every day. I mean, what's the value in that? A lot, I would say. So now let's get into the benefit for Tesla, with the first one being, this is a lot of cars. It's a big order, and it's at full price. $4.2 billion times a 30% gross margin is $1.26 billion, roughly the cost of Shanghai Phase 1, which is, by the way, a Model 3 factory. So with just the profit from just the order they're going to fill in the next 14 months, they would have enough surplus cash to build another factory capable of building hundreds of thousands of Model 3s. That's kind of a big deal. The next one, lithium iron phosphate batteries. Yeah, it's not using lithium ion. The big constraint right now is batteries. And it's not just the batteries, it's the nickel, which is in short supply, and cobalt, which is in very short supply. The SR Plus uses an LFP battery, which uses lithium, iron, and phosphate. Those are not in short supply. These batteries can be ramped quickly. And they also last a long time. You can put 1,000,000 miles on them. You can charge them to 100 and down to 0 without damaging them. So you don't have to ask your renters to honor the buffer. They can abuse the battery all they want. The battery just don't care. So the nice thing about this, next one, effortless to build due to volume. They're just white SR Pluses with the cheap wheels. That's it. There's no changing configuration every second or third car. There's no swapping out the paint at the end of the line. You could do 4 or 5 days straight of just these without changing anything in terms of the setup. It's very easy and could increase margin by not having to slow down and reconfigure. That's a big deal. And there's often a dip in the first quarter. You say, well, that's, Tesla's demand is unlimited. Well, I don't think it has been historically, which is why Q1 is always the weakest. But if you've got a standing order for 100,000 cars, Q1 doesn't have to be weak. No quarter has to be weak. We can build at full speed all the time and have the buyer waiting eagerly to take delivery. Now we're getting into some ones that I think are fun. Butts in seats. The most dangerous thing you can do in a Tesla is test drive it. Because apparently, if you drive one, if you don't buy it, if you don't go home and place an order on the spot, you will say, this is my next car. That is a common refrain. My mom traveled for work. She always rented cars, and she always picked her next car based on the ones that she rented. Tesla will create demand because 100,000 cars is going to have millions and millions of new drivers behind the wheel every year. And with that, we could say this is now the de facto test drive center. Now, I don't like doing test drives. A lot of people don't. You have to deal with a salesman, and even if it's low pressure or no pressure, you're still on a list. You still got to make small talk. It's still a whole thing. And then you get to do, what, 10, 20 minutes behind the wheel? Wouldn't you rather just hop in it and drive it for a day or 3 or 7 or on a road trip? That would be amazing. And this will allow that. A lot of people who really wanted to get the full experience can now get it. And get it for whatever time they want. Literal free advertising from Hertz. Yeah, Hertz spent a lot of money making ads that they're running, that they are showing, that they are committed to making sure as many people as possible see. That's a big deal. That's not just kind of free advertising. My channel's kind of free advertising. The only problem is, if you're watching this, you're already a Tesla fan. I don't have to convince you, and if you show this to your buddies, they're probably not going to watch it. But an ad, a real 30-second, 60-second spot, that's a big deal, especially when you consider Tom Muffin Truckin' Brady. Tom Brady in the ads. Oh, there is the Venn diagram of Tom Brady fans and Tesla fans is not a perfect circle. There are people who would not consider buying a Tesla who might consider getting one for their wife, instead of the Kia or the Chevy Malibu. And yeah, maybe I'll drive it on weekends 'cause it's fast and fun and easy. This is a big market. This is a big opportunity. And the charging network will expand. They're committed to putting in chargers at all of their thousands of locations. Now, maybe these won't be public chargers, but at the very least, they'll be buying the charging equipment, and at $1,000 profit a center, you're still talking millions of extra dollars. And it just helps everyone. The biggest thing is, if it works, it works. If this rental model works, which the numbers look good, it should, everybody's going to get on board. Everybody's going to want to buy these for their fleet because it's going to work. There's no reason I see that it won't. So here's the last one. Thank you for hanging out with me. They're not buying full self-driving. Not yet. Now, maybe they negotiated it into the contract that they can buy it at today's prices. The closer it gets to finish, the more it's going to cost. But what if they just secured it at today's prices? 100,000 cars, $10,000 a car. That's a cool billion straight to the bottom line. $1 billion to the bottom line. Well, maybe they don't want to pay it all at once. Okay, we'll just pay $20 million a month. As an investor, would you like to see Tesla getting an extra $20 million a month in royalties? I certainly would. I certainly would. So that's it, man. That's why this deal just makes so much sense. That's why Wall Street went banana bonkers today. It is, the more you look at it, the more you realize it's a no-brainer. So what did I miss or misunderstand? Leave me all your thoughts and comments and blinding brilliance in the comments below. And as always, my friends, stay tuned, stay juicy, and please note that I cannot wait to see you at Hertz. That'd be weird. And a quick thank you, of course, to my Patreons who get early access, bonus content, an ad-free experience, and to help keep the channel running for as little as $1 a month. Thank you, guys. I just can't do this without you, and I mean that. You guys mean a lot to me. Thank you.